it is very easy to get addicted to practicing surrendering into the feminine energy. Now, quick education. All of us have two different energies. By the way, this is just one lens to look through. There are multiples, and I think lenses and frameworks are an incredible way to bring awareness to yourself, but not good ways to live and experience life because they're frameworks. It's like trying to control life. You don't want to do that. So let this bring awareness to you, but don't try and like live and abide by it and choke yourself. We all have a yin and a yang, or a masculine and a feminine energy within us. Yin is, depending on if you're looking at Chinese or Eastern, but Eastern is yin energy, is feminine energy. It's cool, it's flow, it's everything creative within us. It's everything that's ever changing. It's emotion. It's everything we can touch in this world is feminine energy, including your own body. No matter if you're male or female, or you identify with neither or both or whatever, we both have an energy of masculine and feminine. Feminine does not mean female. The masculine energy is everything that is permanent. It's the intelligence, it's the bottom line, it's the do, it's the action, it's the purpose. The masculine energy always wants to empty out. The feminine energy always wants to fill up. The masculine energy wants to have purpose and clarity and direction, and it feels great with structure. It is the container. The feminine wants to fill up and feel and flow and create. It's what's within the container. A healthy being is balanced in both a healthy masculine and feminine energy. For a very long time, our world has been very, very, very out of balance and leaning towards a wounded masculine. Often people say toxic masculinity. It's like, no. Unhealthy or wounded or toxic, whatever word you want to use, masculine energy is an energy that produces different actions that can happen in both a male or a female, or anything that you identify with, anything in between and beyond that. So unhealthy or masculine, unhealthy or wounded, or I'm not even going to say toxic, but maybe even immature masculine energy, no matter your gender, is like controlling, right? It wants to control, it wants power, and it's very heavily reliant on intellect and fact and bottom line and getting things done. It doesn't have time to feel and stop and play. It's not interested in that. But firstly, this is out of balance because it's very much to the masculine, and it's also the unhealthy, immature version of that, right? So we're beginning to heal the masculine, and a healed masculine will have purpose, direction, giving of gifts, like to have clarity and some beautiful, healthy structure. That's a healthy masculine. Now, our world for a very long time has oppressed, suppressed, rejected, and not trusted the feminine energy within us. So it's repressed, rejected, not trusted creativity, flow, feeling, more intuitive forces, things that are outside what we can touch and feel and, tangible measure. It's like we have not for a long time trusted that aspect of our being which exists within us all, which means we suppress it and we push that away. That's why you might be like, and it's also been edified and praised, I don't, you just get on with it. You just push through, you figure it out, everything. And I myself have been very addicted to and still have to watch the vice of being able to intellect and analyze and break things down, because it gives this false sense of being in control. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, is it a vice? Is that where you're outsourcing your sense of control? Now, context given, education, I hope that wasn't too fast, but let's go into, this leaning towards this feminine trend. It's so healthy that we're beginning to be more open and trust our feminine energy. Male, female, anything in between and beyond. And there's I'm seeing an addictive pattern to it where it's all about the feminine and trusting the feminine and embodying the feminine, let the feminine flow. But the thing is, there is a reason that we have both masculine and feminine within us, because balance is so powerful. Because if we can have a beautiful purpose and a healthy amount of structure in our life, then the feminine within us has this spaciousness to flow. And we need to take responsibility for directing our own feminine energy and have boundaries around our own creativity. We have to, when our mind is busy and crazy and chaotic, we need to take responsibility and stop that. Just like you would see in a conversation, if you see there's a dynamic between a masculine and feminine in a conversation, maybe in a partnership, You will hear teachers like David Dieter and John Wineland talk about that. If you're a woman who's predominantly in her feminine, the masculine is predominantly in his masculine in that moment, that if the feminine is going crazy, chaotic, and she begins to hurt herself on her rampage of emotion, then what she deeply craves is for him to come in and like say, stop, get back into your body and kind of knock her out of that, not in a physical way, it's a metaphorical knock. And so we need to take responsibility to do that to ourselves. Because what happens is when we're processing and we're moving through and we're upgrading and we're quantum leaping or we're just changing a belief system or something, it depends on what language you use. When we're in the process and we've been leaning towards trusting in using our feminine more to be creative and to manifest or to fill our yin up and to charge our batteries, which by the way I teach, so I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying be careful, right? When we get too far in that and then we get in and we feel and we process, the danger of that is that the wounded feminine will shame, criticize, and manipulate either self or others. That's the nature of the wounded or the immature and the unhealthy feminine. Shame, blame, guilt, criticize, manipulation. Got it? So think about it when we're in process, when we're trying to feel what's going on. The wounded masculine is like, let me control this emotion. The wounded feminine is like, I want to blame everyone outside of myself or I am so bad. It's just like, it's a fucking shit fight. When a healthy balance of starting to trust and surrender into your feminine can just look like you beginning to trust your feelings, to not having to explain why you need something, to honoring that what you need. But if you're going into this righteousness of I have needs and demanding that because you've suppressed them yourself and you've rejected yourself and you've abandoned yourself, so now you're setting all these hardcore boundaries and demanding your needs being met, well, that's just a righteousness and a projection of what you didn't meet in yourself. So be mindful when you're starting to learn to lean into the feminine. If you go too far the other way, girl, boy, anything in between, you will lose your sense of balance. You won't be able to support yourself in times where you're crumbling. You'll want to not just, you want to try and manipulate yourself. You'll find yourself trying to manipulate the outside world to get what you want when you're in that place. And you might feel like, I can't like floppy, whereas you need to harness your masculine just as much and bring yourself into such a wholesome place as a being, because that's what we're here for, right? So live in flow and I don't think, I want to say that everyone has different levels and extremes and varieties of how they express their feminine, their masculine energy. So don't think that just because I know that I'm commonly reflected to me that I'm quite grounded. That is in my nature. I'm a very earthy, grounded person. This doesn't mean if your feminine doesn't look like that, then it's wrong, or your masculine doesn't, it's wrong. That's getting into judgment. That's like the wounded feminine. Your way is to trust yourself and to feel. What I'm saying is don't get too caught up in having to be a certain way and get in this like vein of like the feminine and the power of the feminine and get all righteous and puffed up about that. Respect and trust your process with learning to trust her and trusting her power and filling her up and feeling. Trust that, feel that, practice that, but do not forget to engage and empower your masculine energy within.